hugs for Harry. Pregnant Meghan can't hide her delight as adorable little boy refuses to let go of her prince after couple arrive in rural Dubbo to meet drought-hit farmers, Aboriginal children and flying doctors. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex made a new best friend when they touched down in the drought-stricken town of Dubbo in northwestern New South Wales. Luke Vincent, a 5-year-old in kindergarten at Buninyong Public School, was overjoyed to meet Harry and Meghan when his turn came, and he just couldn't stop hugging a delighted Prince Harry or Meghan Markle. The youngster stroked Harry's beard and ruffled the prince's hair before handing the Meghan a bouquet of flowers, to the smiles and applause of the throngs of schoolchildren waving flags and holding welcome messages at Dubbo Airport. The little boy, who has Down syndrome, was transfixed by the Duke's facial hair, according to the school's principal Anne van Dartel. He got a hug from Meghan and then Harry bent down to speak to him and Luke didn't give him any choice. Luke's favorite person in the world is Santa Claus, who has a beard. So he rubbed Harry's beard, she said. It's been a wonderful experience for these little country kids to meet people they've only ever seen on TV. The Duchess and her husband Prince Harry were in Dubbo, Australia, on the second day of their historic first international tour together, which will also take them to New Zealand, Fiji and Tonga over 16 days. Meghan admitted early pregnancy has left her a bit tired and she is running on adrenaline but showed no sign of fatigue as she threw herself into her royal duties. Forecast train held off while the children jumped up and down with anticipation, cheering as the couple came down the steps from their RAF jet for the second full day of their royal tour. Despite running behind schedule, Harry and Meghan took their time with the school children, the prince bouncing around energetically and Meghan kneeling down to speak to them. Ms van Dartel said of the royal couple's visit to Dubbo, whose farming community has been hit by the devastating drought in recent months, "This is a real morale boost." James Fogg, 11, from Umungaree Public School, which has just 9 pupils, told Harry he wanted to be a helicopter pilot, with the Duke replying, "Good choice, good man." James said, "This is so exciting for Dubbo. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to meet them." 5-year-old Lyra Rose, of Dubbo South Public School, said, "It's the first time I have met a princess and I will remember it forever." While school captain Molly Hopkins Davis, 12, said, "Harry asked us when we had rain." They seemed to know a lot about the drought. Millie Sutcliffe, 10, from Dubbo South Public School, hugged both royals. "My wish came true. I said congratulations on the baby and they thanked me. I said I love you guys and I got a hug. They said thank you for coming to meet us, you guys are awesome." Lachlan Eddy and Tyson Salt, both 12, from Dubbo West Public School, had Meghan in stitches as they performed some energetic dance moves. "She said it was very funny," Lachlan said. Prince Harry and Meghan were also met on the tarmac by Regional Mayor Councillor Ben Shields and Indigenous Elder Aubrey Grace Toomey. Meghan was dressed wearing Australian Outland jeans, a Maison Kitsune shirt, J. Crew boots and a Serena Williams collection jacket. Her necklace is by Aussie designer Natalie Marie. Prince Harry was wearing a blue shirt and trousers. Also in the lineup was Troy Grant MP, the member for Dubbo and Minister for Police and Emergency Services, and his wife Tony. Previous royal visitors to Dubbo have included Edward, Prince of Wales, in 1920, the Queen in 1954 and 1992 and Prince Edward in 2006. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex were showing their support for farming families affected by one of Australia's worst ever droughts while in Dubbo. The farming region has been blighted by temperatures in excess of 45°C, leading to the death of thousands of cattle, loss of livelihood and severe food shortages. Some areas have experienced the driest spell since records began in 1900. Prince Harry and Meghan visited the Royal Flying Doctor Service after their arrival to learn more about the life-saving role the aviation service provides for people living in rural areas. There, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex met a hero medic who pulled 3 survivors from a helicopter crash in Afghanistan. Marcus Wilson, 47, an ex-soldier who was running a medical service at the time, was awarded Australia's Bravery Medal for his actions. Inspired by Prince Harry, Mr. Wilson will be taking part in the Invictus Games and the sailing event. Now manager of the Royal Flying Doctor Service in Broken Hill, about 1,500 kilometers from Sydney, Mr. Wilson spent 14 years in the military, first as a gunner, then as a medic, before setting up a medical evacuation service for aid workers in Afghanistan. He was at NATO HQ in Kabul in October 2015 when a helicopter crashed near where he was standing. "It missed me by 15 to 20 feet, Mr. Wilson, who met the couple at a RFDS event in Dubbo, said. "It was an intense experience. I was the first on the scene. I got people to get fire extinguishers and then spent 1.5 hours retrieving the deceased and survivors from the wreckage, crawling through the airframe. The space that we crawled through was 35 centimeters high. It was ankle deep in fuel. Because everything collapsed, we had to use bolt cutters. We could not use saws because of the fuel. 5 died. 2 RAF crew and 3 contractors, and 4 survived." Mr. Wilson, who was one of 3 rescuers, added, "It was terrifying. If it caught on fire there was absolutely no escape." Mr. Wilson said he went inside the helicopter because he was older than most people at the scene. "I had a chance to live my life. I didn't want other people to take the risk that I felt I should take." Medically discharged from the army because of a spinal injury, and traumatized by the helicopter crash, Mr. Wilson found himself at a loss after leaving Afghanistan. Then he watched the Invictus Games in Toronto, and volunteered for the Cindy Games. "I have seen how much it has impacted not just on me but other team members and their families." At the RFDS event, which saw a new aircraft being delivered as the service marked its 90th anniversary, the Duke and Duchess also met patients including Keely Storer, 3, who has suffered from a larynx condition which blocks her airway. She gave the Duchess a posy. It turned out to be a two-way transaction. Her mother Melissa, 34, said, "She said, 'Would you like one too?' and gave her the white one. Then she saw Keely looking and said, 'Would you like the big pink one?' But Keely got distressed that she pulled apart the posy." Her father Christopher said, "She shed some tears shortly after. It was, 'Oh no, my posy.'" The couple also met nurses and other staff and volunteers from the service. David Charlton, RFDS Aviation General Manager, said they talked about how a few times a year babies are sometimes born mid-flight. "Our staff thought that was quite interesting, given the couple's current condition. The couple found it most amusing and interesting. We all wanted to ask if it was a boy or a girl, but everyone behaved themselves." Before leaving, the couple cut a cake marking the anniversary. Harry gave it a good sniff, and helped himself to a bit of icing. He licked the icing from the knife, Mr. Charlton said, which in Australian parlance is going straight to the pool room. The Duke and Duchess later met the Woodley family, who have operated a mixed sheep, cattle and cropping enterprise over 5 generations since 1887. Scott and Elaine Woodley, who farm full-time alongside their 23-year-old daughter Laura, took their Royal Highnesses on a short tour of the farm, including to the paddock where the Duke and Duchess had an opportunity to help feed the cattle. The Duchess of Sussex whipped up a loaf of banana bread to take with her on a visit to a farm to highlight the plight of farmers hit by drought. Pregnant Meghan, 37, cooked the delicious treat in the kitchen at Admiralty House, the home of the Governor-General of Australia, on Tuesday night following her first full day of engagements in Sydney. She took the cake, packed with chocolate chips and a touch of ginger, with her to Mountain View Farm outside of Dubbo in New South Wales, where she met the Woodleys, a 5-generation farming family. An aide said, "She loves baking and just decided to take something along with her on the spur of the moment." The Duchess also took along the perfect accompaniment, a tin of Fortnum and Mason Royal Blend tea. Before the Duchess had even left, the cake was 3/4 of the way gone. Benita Woodley, 20, the daughter of Scott and Elaine, declared it delicious. "It was such a nice and thoughtful thing for her to do. We are really touched." More than 10,000 people are later set to turn out for a picnic in Dubbo's Victoria Park to celebrate community spirit within the region. People have been travelling from around the region to attend the event, and there is not single hotel room left in the town, according to local reports. Harry and Meghan will visit a number of stalls to meet individuals and groups from the community, including representatives from Team Rubicon, Drought Angels, and Headspace. The prince is expected to say a few words. Before they leave, the royal couple will visit 2 local schools. At one they will to learn more about its work to improve the life skills, self-esteem, and employment prospects of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders young men. and the second will see them learn more about efforts to reduce the barriers preventing Indigenous girls from completing their education and reaching their full potential. The visit to Dubbo is part of a jam-packed schedule of 76 engagements across 16 days, with the royals visiting Sydney, Melbourne and Queensland's Fraser Island, Fiji, Tonga and New Zealand on their first overseas tour since they were married.